What's up, innovators? Today we'll be learning how to multiply and divide fractions. Multiplying and dividing fractions turns out to be much simpler than adding or subtracting fractions. Let's start off with multiplying fractions. Here we have 5 over 8 times 1 over 3. If we were to add or subtract, we would need to find a common denominator or use the ancient mathematician method we learned last time. However, for multiplication, it's as simple as multiplying the numerator with the numerator and the denominator with the denominator. So, the resulting fraction would look like 5 times 1 over 8 times 3. The result is 5 over 24. Let's try another example. We notice that some of the values are quite large, and that computing these values takes extra time and could lead to error. Before any computation, it's a useful practice to try and reduce the expression as much as possible. We can see that 39 is divisible by 13, so we can transform the expression into 7 over 1 times 3 over 8, since 13 goes into 39 3 times. Now we have a much easier computation. The result is 7 times 3 over 1 times 8, which equals 21 over 8. Dividing fractions is like multiplication, but with a subtle twist. The main idea is to take the second fraction of the division expression and to invert it. Once inverted, we then multiply the fractions together. For example, if we have a over b divided by c over d, we would take the reciprocal of c over d, which is d over c. So the expression would now look like a over b times d over c. To use a concrete example, 1 over 2 can be written as 1 over 1 divided by 2 over 1. If we flip the second operand, we get 1 over 1 times 1 over 2, which equals 1 over 2. Let's try this division example. To rewrite this as a multiplication expression, we have to get the reciprocal of the second operand. In this case, the second operand is 2 over 5. The reciprocal of 2 over 5 is 5 over 2. Now the expression can be rewritten as 3 over 7 times 5 over 2. Now we can multiply. Our result is 5 times 3 over 7 times 2, giving us a final answer of 15 over 14. Let's work another division example. Here we have 51 over 9 divided by 7 over 17. You probably noticed that 51 is divisible by 17. Does this mean we can reduce the fractions? No, we can only reduce fractions when multiplying. Say we have 2 over 1 divided by 1 over 4. If we were able to reduce when it was a division expression, this would say that 2 over 1 is equal, the 2 over 1 divided by 1 over 4 equals 1 over 1 divided by 1 over 2. That would give us 1 over 1 times 2 over 1, which equals 2. But 2 divided by 1 over 4 doesn't give us 2. It actually gives us 8. So we always want to reduce after we transform the expression into a multiplication expression. So let's do that first. 51 over 9 times 17 over 7 now. And we check if we can reduce the expression, and we cannot. So we have to employ our multiplication skills we learned from the previous lessons. So 51 times 17 as the numerator, 9 times 7 as the denominator. 51 times 17. Here we get 867 over 63 as our final answer. That's it for today's lesson, how to multiply and divide fractions. Multiplying fractions simply involves multiplying the numerators together and the denominators together. When dividing fractions, though, we want to take the reciprocal of the second fraction, or in other words, flip the fraction, and then multiply. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.